Okay, now it's recording. And feel free to jump in at any time if you have questions, if you want to, even like for examples, if you have emails that you wrote in the past and you want to analyze them, or any ideas that you have, like projects that you want to work on and you want to like look at them hands-on. It was kind of the idea that I had for this workshop to like take some real life examples and analyze them also. All right, so I'm gonna share a little presentation just for having a flow of, oops, share, share. Okay. Can you see the Canva presentation?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. Well, even if it's only you and I for now, we're gonna do our usual breaths because we've been doing other things all day, going outside, enjoying the sun, being in all sorts of different energies. So we're going to ground with 3 breaths just to land into the intention that we want to set for this workshop. So you can take a comfortable seated position, whether you're on a chair or on the ground, just like feeling your root on the floor and placing. You can do, you and I think we have done this breath with one hand under the arm and one like this. So if you feel comfortable like that, you can do this, or you can just place your hands on your thighs or on your belly and your heart. And we're gonna go in with 3 deep breaths, starting with 1 inhale all the way into our belly. Exhale. In. Exhale. One last time in. And one last exhale. And landing into our space for this training. So even though it's very tangible, technical, um, we could almost say masculine training tonight. It's not like the consciousness guidance things that we do sometimes that are more in the feminine. I still put emphasis on grounding and coming back to the body because that's the number one step for writing good emails. And the reason why is because when we hurry up, when we feel rushed, when we feel pressured, when we feel like we have to perform, to do, to just execute a task because it needs to be checked from the to-do list, the energy that the email carries is really not the same. And especially nowadays with AI, with ChatGPT, and that was one of the biggest reasons why I also wanted to create this workshop around AI is that everybody uses AI. And so it makes us become a bit more lazy. And there is even science that proves that our frontal lobe, prefrontal cortex is shutting down more and more as we are using AI because it doesn't force us to work out these parts of our brains anymore. We're expecting instantaneous results. And so in this workshop, I'm putting emphasis also mostly on making the conscious effort to slow down so that we can, one, hear our little voice inside of ourselves, that we can be more in tune with ourselves because we want to write from our heart. We want to write from our authenticity, our sincerity. We don't want to write something that is robotic and that everyone else is going to plug into ChatGPT and it all sounds the same. It's all flat and beige and without personality. So really the first step is to land back into the body. So even just the little breathing exercises we did together could be a good way to start opening to write a good email that converts. So I even took a note here saying AI is your intern. It's like it's what we use to have a skeleton, a structure, but it's not our muse. It's not our source of inspiration. So we want to befriend it, but we want to use it for the right things. Okay, so the number one thing that we're going to work on for email marketing, which is, in my opinion, one of the most important things, is the headline, it's the subject line. So even for you, then if you want to unmute yourself for the sake of the exercise, it'll be interesting to see. But I'm curious to know when you receive emails in your inbox, what are the emails that right away you put in the trash versus what are the emails that you will bother to open? I don't know if you have examples of.
I think when you see like how to or like it's like kind of like solving a question that you didn't know you had that I do open.
Interesting. Mm, Do
So
you
I think it went with curiosity basically.
curiosity? Okay, something that is like intriguing to you. And are these emails, let's say, from people that you subscribe to their newsletter because you found them on social media, like they were bringing a lot of value? Like, who are these people?
Yeah, I would say like it's their essence, the reason why you want to receive emails from them and like the work they've done. Like one of them is an author.
Okay, cool. And if we do the opposite exercise, what are the emails that right away you just trash, like you don't really care about?
Maybe if it's like too promotional.
Promotional. Yeah.
Yeah,
Salesy.
exactly.
Uh-huh.
Without like any context.
Yeah. And like, I don't know about you, but even for me, now when I see like 30% off, like discounts,
Yeah.
I don't even open it because I don't know if it's only me, but my consumer behavior is that I don't want to be bombarded by promotions because if I want to buy something, I'll go and look for it. I'll shop, I'll go on Amazon or I'll go to the store and I'll get it now because that's our behavior as consumers now. We can have everything now. So we don't need, like, when we get a promotion, oftentimes it's like, well, I don't really need it because I either already got it, like, so that's how I observe my behavior as a consumer in 2026. Maybe it was not the same thing like 5 years ago when I received the promotion. Maybe I would have bothered to go on the website and see what are the sales. But nowadays, I don't know that it's as relevant, in my opinion.
Yeah, true.
Nice. Okay, so for headlines, there's like multiple things that we can look at to create a good headline. As you said earlier, for you, it's like the intrigue. So as I wrote here, curiosity gap. So leaving people with a gap, with like a blank something to fill. So you gave a good example, like how to something. And I'll show you in the next slides how we can create a lot of curiosity, intrigue, trigger for people to open our emails. Specificity also, contrast, preview text is important as well, which the preview text is like the second line under the subject line. And then you also see the beginning, the first lines of the email. So let's dive right into it. I put screenshots of a very good book that I will share the links at the end of the workshop of the training in the email follow-up. This book is from Sabi Subri, who is a marketing expert, and his book is called Sell Like Crazy. And he explains the power of writing a good headline, so a good subject line. So there's people, like the magazines that you can buy at the pharmacy or at the grocery store, and they're like gossip magazines where they talk about Trump and like celebrities, and you always see like a scandal of someone on a yacht with another celebrity, and a paparazzi took a photo, and there's going to be a big headline that is very provocative. So the people that write these headlines, they're some of the most well-paid people in the marketing industry because the headlines sell. It's what sells the magazine overall. So if it's a boring headline, people are not curious, they're not going to buy the magazine at all. So here I like this little extract of the book that says, so the typical full page new home ad, let's say in a like a newspaper or something, an ad for um, in that case it's like selling homes, so real estate, let's say agent. And usually people will write like sale or display homes now open. But that will just end up being blended in the mass because everybody writes the same big headlines thinking it's gonna work, but it probably will not. So here it says they're practically leaving it to random chance to compete for their share of that 3% of people who are buying now. So there's in the pyramid of consumers, we say that there's only 3% at the top of the pyramid that are warm and ready to buy. And then you have another portion, which is approximately 10 to 17% of people who are um, they're like warm, at the top they're hot, and at the bottom they're cold. So only 3% are ready to buy, and maybe that title will work. But for the people who are not hot and need to be warmed up, this title will not work because it's not bringing any value, it's not solving any problem. So here it says, warning, do not buy a new house before reading this shocking free report. Now, if you were to see display homes now open versus warning, do not buy in your emails, which email would you open between both?
The second.
The second, right? It's like very intriguing. You're like, oh my God, I don't want to make a mistake. So this is a very good example. Same thing here, same principle. This book called Astrological Love was a little bit of a flop. So when this author, she launched that book, it didn't really sell. So you can see here, the first print run is typically 5,000 books, and most books don't sell out in their first run. This book also didn't sell out in the initial 5,000. In fact, it sold only 2,000 copies. And so what they did is that they republished with a new title, and this time it's How to Satisfy a Woman Every Time and Have Her Beg for More versus Astrological Love. Again, this one is clearly more triggering and more intriguing, in my opinion. And it did prove to work because look at this, so the results, 2.3 million books sales in the first 18 months. So that's unbelievable.
Yeah, wow, this is a really great example.
Yeah. So again, it's all about understanding the consumer, understanding what are their pain points, what are their current problems, what are the current emotions that take the most space on their mind, in their hearts. So here again, identify your dream buyer's single most pervasive and persistent hair on fire problem, and then offer them the single most valuable and immediate solution.
I have a question.
Yeah, go for it.
Can you go back to the other slide, please?
Yeah.
So, for example, like I really like that quote that you just read, which is like you find their persistent hair on fire problem
Yeah.
and then offer like something valuable. And for example, this is the same book, like the information is just as valuable even with the other cover, but then when they change the title, it's like very like so precise. So my question is like, how do you like, for example, I have the same content, like for example, I have this book, it's the same content, but like how can I specifically find this like specific problem they have and then like, present it after I found that problem. So like how is it that you find the problem so specific like that in a consumer?
So you mean like the person that came up with that title, how did they manage to get down to that specific
Like
problem?
not specifically with this example, just like in general. Like
In general,
yeah.
it's really getting to know your client by heart. And you'll see we'll get to it a little bit later, but um part of the art of selling and the art of communicating is to know your customer so well that it's almost like you're spying on them. Like when they see an ad from you or when they receive an email and they read the first line and you're like targeting them, they almost feel like, oh my God, has this person been spying on me? Like they know me so well. So it's our job as marketers and as salespeople for our products and our services to know our clients to the tip of our fingers. So if we don't know what makes them sad, what makes them anxious, what makes them happy, what is their dream life, if we don't know any of these things, we can't sell them anything. And usually we're going to be selling things that ourselves have needed at some point for most of us. Like some people, they work, let's say in a big corporation and they just sell what they have to sell. So maybe it's less close to their hearts. But in our case, we're very close to our clients and we're very close to our products and our services. And if I take myself as an example, everything that I sell are things that I once struggled with. So I know what's the journey of going through things without that solution and having to think and try things and make mistakes and try again and pay a coach and pay a course and this and that until I found the solution. So I know the pain of going through something that I didn't have an answer for. So that's really how, like, for example, that person studied the target client so well that that person understood, oh, well, some people have a very hard time satisfying a woman. And like, that's what they struggle with the most. And they don't feel confident. And that is a big pain point. But there's a multitude of pain points. Like, it could have been another sentence. It could have been like, I don't know, how, how to make sure it doesn't end after the first date, right? Like maybe some people, they struggle with the first date. It always goes bad with the first date. So it's really by conversating, having conversations with our clients that we get to know all of this about them. And for that, there's many techniques. Let's say like, you know, the polls on Instagram when people make polls and they ask, do you feel X way? Do you feel Z way, Y way? And then people are going to answer. So that's a way of like surveying and getting to know your clients. I don't know if that answers your
No,
question.
you answered really well. I think that's exactly like the perfect answer, which is to know the client so well.
Amazing. Well, thank you for that awesome question. Also, hello Elia.
Hi.
Hello Jane, hello Camille, désolée, je reste en mute, des fois il y a un peu de bruit.
Non, il n'y a
Mais
pas de problème du tout. Je suis contente que tu sois là. On a
ouais,
commencé un peu, mais t'as pas manqué grand-chose. On a.
mais I'm gonna watch the beginning of it après, parce que I don't know how we get to how to satisfy a woman, and I was like, oh wow.
Yeah, you'll have to watch the replay to figure out how we got there. No, that's too funny. But just to recap for you, since you were not there, I was telling also Lou Jane that at any time, feel free to ask questions and to bring in your own examples because this workshop is supposed to be very hands-on on appliqué. So if you have like real life emails that you wrote and they didn't perform well, or you have examples that you want to look at in real time,
Okay,
that's also part of the purpose of that training. So feel free to bring up any examples.
perfect, amazing, will do.
Great. Okay, so now we're going to go through a few essentials to write a headline that will almost guarantee that people open your email. So number one is a headline that grabs them that practically forces them to read your material. So as we said earlier, it's really like captivating people's attention. On average, 5 times as many people read the headline as read the body copy. So when you've written your headline, you've spent 80 cents out of your dollar. So that means that, you know, that's where it breaks it or make it. And you almost guarantee that if the headline hit the spot, they're going to read all the rest of the email. So really, that's number one. Whoops, I'm going too fast. Okay, headline, essential number two, numbers. For a reason that is unknown to me, human beings, we love numbers. We love being told, you know, 7 things you must know before hiring a financial planner and whatnot. I believe it's just because it creates expectations. So if I tell you, 7 things and blah, 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 at least you know what to expect. You're like, okay, I'm not going to be reading for hours. It's going to be 7 things. And then once you're in the email, your brain kind of has an idea of where it's going to stop and how long it's going to take to read. So that's my hypothesis as of why human beings like numbers. So it's a good idea to integrate numbers in your headlines. You can alternate, because if you always use that technique, maybe people are going to get fed up at some point, but it's a very good one to use. And you can even spice it up. You often see that on TikTok, for example. People are going to be like, I'm sharing with you the 3 things to, let's say, have the most glowing skin, and stay for the last one because that's the best one. And they're going to keep the best for last. So they're going to make sure that you're going to listen to the whole thing. So it's the same with headlines and email marketing. Human beings are very curious creatures, and we love a good gossip, a good mystery. So that is a good one to keep in mind. Essential number 3 is to create irresistible intrigue. So we have to use a vocabulary that will create intrigue. For example, here you have very good words that you can use. So this is more on the negative end, but you could turn it to the positive. So this has been taken from the examples I was telling you of like headlines that sell for gossip magazines, but you can turn it into something positive as well. So the word must, alarming, shocking, won't tell you, exposed, revealed, confession, horror, secret. But the way you could turn that into the positive could be the 10 best kept secrets from marketing experts to finally generate your 5-figure month, something like that. So you can use that for positive. It doesn't always have to be like, oh, alarming, there's a fraud and scam in this industry. Like, some people like to use that angle. I prefer to use a more positive one, but the words can be used for both. Essential number 4 is showing them what's in it for them. So that is, I would say, the most important, in my opinion. Think about yourself and think about, as a consumer, when you read a sales page, an email, a headline, an ad on Facebook, when did it really work for you? Like, when did you watch an ad or go through a funnel and you felt yourself like you were almost under a spell, and you just kept going, and like you paid and you bought something and you're like, oh my God, like they got me. It was so easy. Like, I felt magnetized to buy this. If the two of you, if one of you wants to give me an example, I would love to see like what made you go for it. Like, what was so strong that you felt pulled to go through that funnel and to purchase the service or the product?
I can check for emails I saved, but they're not like promotional, as in they're like selling me something. But I'm gonna check.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm also thinking of one that really I don't know, caught my eye. I've got to check too. But it's true that I'm more responsive personally to those that have numbers.
Yeah. So
Oh,
Or like, sorry, Jane, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I had nothing to say, like no specific
Oh, okay.
examples.
I
Just
just said oh because I found the example that's like perfect for what's in it for them. So this is from a live, she's a relationship coach. Her name is Diana, and she runs School of Love. So this is like an email I have saved, and the headline is How Emily's Love Story Changed Forever. And then she like talks about this client she coached, and then at the end, like she puts in the message like she sent to the coach, being like, I'm forever grateful at the end. And then she says, Diane now speaking, I'm curious, what does this story bring up for you? What do you believe is holding you back from experiencing love in the way you most crave it? And how would things change if you got the support, aka a loving kick in the butt from me you needed to propel you forward? I think this was a really good example for like showing them what's in it for them.
It's a very good example, and you're gonna see like the next thing we're gonna dive in together. She followed the exact framework. So this person really got like she's got it down. Like she really managed to write
Yeah,
something that follows
I
the
never unsubscribed yet, so that's just like proof. Like, yeah, you're
exactly. So you're like the living proof that it worked. Amazing. So
Yeah, that's true. And also just wanting to share with Lou Jane. So I also read a bit of certain strategies to write emails, and sometimes they're a bit too harsh, like too salesy, which is hard. Like let's say like I was working on a newsletter for just basic information for a group of, like an association, and I'm not really trying to sell them anything. So that's where I was having a bit of an issue saying I don't want to put a sense of urgency because there's no real urgency. Like you're not gonna like I don't want you to buy anything from me, but I still want you to open my email.
yeah.
And so it was a hard line between business is business, but also emotions, and also, well, I'm not just saying plain information. I also want you to, be responsive and feel a part of this group.
Hmm. Yeah.
yeah, cool.
Yeah, that's so true. And I think that this is why that one, like essential number four, show them what's in it for them, is so important. Is that whether you're trying to sell something or not, like we're always trying to sell something at the end of the day. Like even when you want your boyfriend to bring you on vacation, you're trying to sell him something, right? You're trying to sell an idea. So we're always trying to sell people something. And what's in it for them is the most important thing because human beings want to know what's in it for me. Like, even if we can be very generous and altruistic and giving and loving, we still want to know what's in it for me. If I'm loving and giving, maybe what I want, what's in it for me, is to be loved and to be recognized. So there's always that dynamic of giving and receiving that is important to understand. So even if you're writing an email that is not to sell per se, you need to know your customers so well that you know what is it that makes them feel like they won, like they got value, like they got something in exchange for their purchase, for their money in that case. So I don't know if you have current clients that you're working with or projects that you're working on, and you already know your dream client, I like to call, and to know what are these people after? Like what's in it for them? If you are trying to sell them a product or a service, what are you giving them? What is the value and the energetic exchange that you offer in exchange for their money, for their purchase?
I can go first. I think I'm thinking of a specific client where we're basically selling them food, but it's not just food. We're selling them an experience and also time. Like you won't have to go grocery shopping and cook and clean. Um, and so it's a service, and it is food, a tangible thing, but it's more than just that.
Yeah, exactly. So you nailed it. Like you know very well what has value for them, and what's in it for them is more freedom of time. It's less cleaning. It's enjoying maybe time with their kids, enjoying the sunset instead of doing dishes or, being at the stove watching the food cooking. So those are all things that have a lot of value for these people. All right. So here it's an example of a good headline that works versus the boring one. So seven, and this one is a mix of multiple techniques, you'll see. 7 alarming things you must know before hiring a financial planner. So it's not just 7 things you must know, because that's a bit boring, but 7 alarming things. So then your brain goes into, oh my God, I want to avoid making mistakes. I want to avoid catastrophe. I want to avoid losing money in that case. Number 3 will blow your mind. So then you know that I have to at least stick around until number 3 because it's the one that'll blow my mind. So what are the chances that you open that email? If you're someone that already has an interest for hiring a financial planner, you're someone that already is wanting to work on their finances in 2026 or 2027. So then you see like the first lines. This is also a super important part in your email. The first liner needs to be as good. So in this case, it goes as is. Top financial planner reveals his secret checklist and the dirty little lies that could cost you tens of thousands of dollars and stop you from retiring 7 years early. Shocking free report reveals all. Wow, that makes me want to read more. Versus 7 things to know about financial planning. Boring, skip, garbage, trash. So I love this one. And if you, at the end of the training, I'm going to share the slides with you so you can have all these examples and adapt them to your own clients and your own scenarios. Okay, same thing here. You have like plug and play formulas that you can use for your titles. So for example, X ways to achieve the desirable thing without doing the undesirable thing. 6 ways to get washboard abs without doing a single sit-up. Number 2, do difficult thing in specific period of time, even if shortcomings. Example, pay off your mortgage in 7 years, even if you have a modest income. So you see how all of these examples that I'm showing at the screen, it's never really about a promotion, a discount. It's never about this is the best product ever. This is the best coaching program. It's always about the pain points, the undesirable thing, and the desire of like highlighting the gap between where they are without what they want and how that hinders them in their quality of life right now and where they want to be. And there's all that space in between, and you are offering them to bridge the gap and to bring them to point B. Yeah. So again, a tip, we already sort of said it, but it's a good reminder to make sure that every point touches a burning issue. So whenever you're writing a headline, everything must relate to a burning issue, a pain point, something that frustrates them, makes them feel anxious or sad or desperate, and not like, let's say they feel like they're never going to be able to afford XYZ or to reach a goal that they have in their dreams. Okay, now we're getting to a very cool part. This is the one that if you master this method with AI, it's going to save you so much time and it's going to help you have a structure that then you can tweak to your own voice brand with your own like whimsical touch. And that is the magic that's going to make it work once you have that method and that framework down. So the example that Lou Jane gave about the love coach was most likely following this framework. So if we recap a little bit before diving into the framework, if you want people to get there to read this, first you need to have a very powerful headline, which almost guarantees that they will read the rest. So first, powerful headline, then powerful framework. Okay, so the framework is called the Pastor method. And that is the framework that I've been using in all of the emails I've been writing in the past 5 years. And Elia actually is the one who had pointed out when we were working for a client with the city. And she told me the way the email is structured, it makes sense. I can't remember exactly how she said it, in which words she said it, but she said something along those lines. I think she's unmuted. So if you want to share, Ilya, be my guest.
I'm not too sure what exactly I said, like how I worded it, but it's like you accompany the reader like step by step by like in how he's gonna think. Like, okay, there's first of all intrigue, and then the first thing you think about, like let's say the factor is time. Well, next point, Camille is writing about time. Okay, sure, time, but now time is money. So my next thought as a reader is gonna be money. Well, that's the third point that Camille is gonna talk about. So it's like really you're walking with the audience, or like the reader through their thought process. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's like you anticipate all of their thoughts and needs in a chronological order. I don't know if that made sense.
That
Yeah,
makes
that's
so much
good.
sense. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, that's the whole point because we want to always be two steps ahead of the client so that there's no opposition, there's no, yeah, but what if and buts and yeah, so we want to make sure that we give them all the trust that they need to purchase from us. Because at the end of the day, that's all that people care about. It's not that you have the best product in the world. It's not that it's the most beautiful landing page they've ever seen. It's that they can trust. They can trust that you've helped other people, that there has been results, that it's going to work, that they're not going to lose their money. So if we're able to break all these objections and build trust, then there's not really a reason why they won't move forward. So the framework is an acronym. So the P from Pastor stands for problem, the A for amplify the problem, S for storytelling, T for transformation that you're providing, O for your offer, and R for the response, which is the call to action. So let's dive into each and every one of them more in detail. And I think that by reading that, you're going to start like noticing maybe examples of things that you've been reading and you're like, oh my God, that person is using that technique, that framework. And that's why I was feeling compelled to keep reading. So let's start with, oh yeah, this is a little bit of a background story about where the acronym came from and like the philosophy behind it. So I'll read this to you in diagonal. So most people associate the term pastor with like a preacher at church. While this is certainly one way of understanding the term, the original meaning of the word pastor was actually to shepherd. And what does a shepherd do? He or she cares for, feeds, and protects the flock. Now, before we go any further, I should address the habit that some marketers have of referring to their customers as their herd. It seems to paint an unflattering picture. This kind of imagery is not what I'm invoking here. The actual role of a shepherd is a loving, caring, and protective one. So you see how it's like the philosophy behind that method is to see your clients as a community that you love and that you want to guide and you want to, you see here like loving, caring, and protective role. You want to protect them from scams. You want to protect them from bad products. You want to protect them from going into bad experience and making mistakes that are going to be costly. You want to love them. You want to spoil them. You want to nurture them. So if you have that mindset when you write to your clients, this already sets the tone for something that is most likely going to convert in a sale. Because someone that feels empathy from you, love from you, care from you, is going to trust you and is going to know, well, this person has gone through the same, has helped so many clients do the same and solve the same problem. Therefore, she must want something that's good for me and I can trust. So that's like the theory. No, I don't want to say the theory, but like the mindset behind it. That's really the spirit behind that framework. So P for person, problem, and pain. You must begin by identifying the person you're trying to reach with your message. So understanding the problem that you're solving for them and the pain that the problem causes. And that's like I was explaining earlier, when Elia joined the call, Lujane and I were analyzing the cover of a book, and she was asking, how do you come down to such like a specific pinpointed problem and highlighting it like in the title of the book, for example. So understanding the problem is truly understanding your client like the back of your hand, because you've studied them for so long, you've read their comments on posts or in communities like Facebook and Reddit, and you know what really hits their clock, you know what really hurts them, what makes them sad, what makes them depressed, what makes them feel in despair and whatnot. So there's an example here in the fitness industry, and that would be, you've tried every fad diet that comes along. You've started and stopped a dozen different exercise programs, perhaps joined several different gyms, but the truth is you just can't seem to take the weight off or keep it off. Perhaps you're even feeling a little disgusted with yourself and your inability to control your eating and your weight. You feel like no matter what you try, it's not going to work. So the way that person is writing, for someone who's struggling with this, is going to feel like, oh my God, did that person read my private journal? Like, it feels so specific. And that's what you're trying to do with the P of problem, is understanding what is paining that person. Oops. Okay. But a very important thing here, remember that you're not judging their behavior. So when we're writing an email, we always want to position ourselves as a leader, as someone who is an embodied leader. So you're walking hand in hand with your client and saying, I'm inviting you on that journey because I've been there, I know the pain, and I know you can do it too. So we're not putting ourselves on a pedestal, we're walking side by side. And by removing like the judgment or putting them here and us there, like we're the coach and they're the clients, then it creates a way more powerful relationship with that client that is more likely to convert them as well. Okay, what else is interesting here? Yeah, selling is essentially a transfer of feelings. If in the way you're writing, the person can feel it's already won. Next one. Is there any questions for the P for problem? No. Okay, perfect. So next one is A, for amplify and aspirations. The next step is to amplify the consequences of not solving the problem and the aspirations they hold for the future. This is really the key to making sales, and it's probably the most neglected step in the process. So what will motivate people to buy your product, invest in your service, or accept your idea is usually not the beautiful outcome framed in a positive light on its own. It is required rather that before painting the picture of the paradise they seek, you must get them fully experience the consequence of not solving the problem. So not receiving yes, the cost of indecision. So I'll give you a tangible example so that you can understand what is the amplification and the highlighting of inaction and indecision. So, for example, in this program that the author was running, he was asking as an exercise to his students to write down your average monthly income over the last 12 months, then write down what you want your average monthly income to be. Let's say that your average income is $5,000 per month, and your goal is actually to make $15,000 per month in your business. That means the gap between where you are and where you want to be is $10,000 per month. You're paying a cost of $10,000 every month that you don't solve your problem. So in this case, if his program guarantees you that you can make, my battery is dying, that you can make $15,000 per month if you follow his framework. Well, the cost of not taking a decision and buying the program is costing them $10,000 of more in their bank account every month. So now it's like very tangible because it's money that we're talking about, but you can absolutely replicate the amplification and the cost of indecision with anything else, with any other scenario. In love, for example, like, why wait, when you could be wasting 20 more years in the same pattern in your relationship when you could buy my course and discover what is your attachment style and finally not be a people pleaser anymore. Something like that. Just made it up quickly, but we get the concept. Okay. S is for the story, the solution, and the system. So once you've described the problem, amplified the consequences of not solving it, and painted the picture of paradise, it's time to share the story of how the problem can be solved. So that's basically the way, the framework, the method, the vehicle that you're using to solve your client's problem. It could be a product also. So here it says it could be a story of how you finally solved it, or it could be the story of how you helped a client, a customer, discover the solution on their own. And here there's a little quote that says, dig deeper, there's always a story to tell. So even if you think there's not a story, there always is. So let's take a little break here from me reading and let's brainstorm on perhaps a product or a service that you're trying to sell currently to a client, or a project you're working on and you want to sell that to your clients. And maybe you feel like there's no story behind it, but I want to challenge that with you and see if we can come up with something. Is there something that comes up for either of you?
I'm trying to think, but I don't know.
Have you ever wanted to, let's say, start a project or a new business and you weren't really sure where to begin? Maybe because you felt like it was hard to find things to talk about the product or the service itself.
I mean, what you just said is a good example, but I don't know.
Okay, it's all good. But essentially the big thing to remember here is that there is always a story to tell. And that is true. Like, whether it's a marketing service, like even me with the young executive, I have so many stories I can tell about how I came about doing this and how some clients have been helped. Like, so many success stories, and they all started with a problem for the clients. Okay, now T is for transformation and testimony. So basically here, we're explaining the transformation. So when earlier I was talking about guiding people from point A to point B and bridging the gap. So this is the transformation that we want to share. So X person went from A to B because people are not buying the stuff, so the product or the service, they're buying a transformation. And if you think about it, it's very much something that has to do with identity. People are currently embodying a certain identity and they want to become another version of them. And in their mind, it's really hard to conceive, how can I become that version of me? And that is what we're selling them essentially. So very important quote here, don't get the vehicle confused with the destination. People who try to sell the vehicle are failing at communicating because we are not selling the how. We are selling the result, so the transformation. Okay. O is for the offer. So this part is supposed to be 20% of the copy to the max, like in an email or in a landing page, because this is the container. This is the product. This is the service. It's not the transformation. It's not the story. It is, you're getting a program with, in that case, 8 DVDs, etc. So we don't want to spend too much time on that because it doesn't really matter how we solve the problem. People don't care. All they care about is that we solve the problem. But we still need to have an offer, obviously. And R is for response. So this, So this is one of the areas where copy tends to offer the weakest to request a response. So some people are a bit shy to ask for people to take action, but this is important because it's where we ask a customer to buy the response. It's essentially the call to action. So we have to be very directive. Again, human beings love to be told what to do. If you offer them a whole solution and a beautiful training and something, and at the end there's no call to action, they won't take action. They won't go and follow you on Instagram just because. They won't go and sign up to your newsletter just because. You have to tell them, if you like this, go and subscribe, go and follow, you know? So this is the last phase, which is response. So in that case, the example that is given is click the button below, fill out the order form, and we will immediately ship your entire package to you. It will contain everything you need to get started. So as simple as that, this is how you close your email. Okay. Are there any questions so far on the pastor method? We're going to do some examples later on with AI, with ChatGPT. But so far for like the theory, is there any question?
I'm good.
Awesome. Okay. So another thing that is super important for email ecosystem, you could have the best headline, the best pastor framework, the best email in the world, but there are things that could make it not work. And it's funny because I had like something similar happening today, and Lou Jane, you were a witness of it. So if your emails go in spam or go in promotions, they don't go in the right place, then even if you have the best email in the world, people don't receive it. So that is part of the email ecosystem, the 360 degree of that ecosystem. But I want to first talk about another ecosystem, which is the customer journey. So from having an email and opening it, to clicking in it, to going on a landing page and checking out, this is also part of the ecosystem. So if your email was incredible and people clicked, but the landing page was ugly, it looked scammy, it looks untrustworthy, or even worse, it didn't load properly, the link was broken. Again, the email was great, but it didn't lead to the checkout, which is the ultimate desired outcome, right? We want to be selling. That's why we do this. Even if we're not selling, we're always selling something. The way you can understand where in the ecosystem it did not work, there's multiple ways of finding that. So first of all, you want to know what is the open rate. So a good open rate would be between 13 to 30%. It's very rare that people have newsletters that will be opened more than 30, 40%. Like that would be incredible. You would have like a very loyal fan base. But if you're like a little bit under 30%, it's considered a great open rate. If the open rate is abnormally low and you see that, let's say 10% or 5% only of people open the email, this most likely means either number one, that the headline was not good enough. It was not intriguing. It was not what was in it for them, you know, what was the value that you were providing in that headline. Perhaps it was not great. Or number two, maybe email went to spam, went to promotion, and people didn't open it. Now, why would an email go to spam? Again, there's multiple reasons. Number one, perhaps the domain name under which the email has been sent is blacklisted. And unfortunately, when that happens, we need to change the domain. Number two, maybe there was no unsubscribe button at the end of the email. And what else could be causing this issue? Sometimes also if the wording is too spammy, and if you had never sent like a mass email before, and this time it's your first time sending a mass email, and it looks very promotional, there's like discounts and this and that, it could also go in the spam. So that's for the open rate. It's a very good indicator for that. The next indicator is the click-through rate. So that would mean, did people click in the links in my email or not? So again, if the click-through rate is not high, why is that so? There's maybe different reasons. So perhaps the call to action was not powerful enough. Maybe the offer was not enticing. Maybe the link was too low in the email and people didn't get all the way down to read it. So those are all potential reasons why people don't click on the link. For conversion, did people check out? Did they buy something? Did they convert? So again, this would be a whole equation. So why didn't they convert? If you had a good open rate, a good click-through rate, people went on your landing page, but they didn't check out and they didn't buy your product or your service. Well, again, maybe the landing page was not great. It was looking a little bit spammy, or maybe they weren't convinced enough. So in that case, you could maybe add an extra step. You could add, perhaps they need a discovery call with you, a connection call to feel reassured, to ask their questions. So all of these things are part of the email ecosystem. Oh yeah, golden nuggets. Those are great things to keep in mind, to even like to improve even more the scores for your emails. Something that I've tested in some emails is to mention the read time at the top, especially if you want people to fill out a survey. Like, for example, I was working for a client and we wanted to ask the people on a street in Montreal if they would be willing to participate in a festival. And I knew that business owners, they're busy, they don't have time, they won't read emails. So I wrote in the headline and in the header of the email, 2 minutes of your time to answer the survey. So they knew, okay, it's only 2 minutes of my time. So I will read it and I will fill it out. So I've tested this and proven over time that this really does help to set expectations straight and to increase, almost double the amount of people that answered the surveys. Another golden nugget is to keep it simple. Keep it simple. Always remember to keep it to one goal maximum per email. So we never want to send an email for 2-3 different topics, 2-3 goals, 2-3 call to action. We want to keep it to one. If you have something else to sell, to promote, to discuss, send another email. It's better. Always read it out loud to see if it makes sense, of course. Prioritize mobile first. This one is so important because there's over, I would say even 90% of people that will read this email on their phone and not on the desktop. So we want to make sure that the mobile is optimized. So I always send myself a test email first, and I see how does it render on my phone. Are the margins good? The designs, the photos, does it look good? Is it easy to read? Is the font too small? This is a very important step. And lastly, white space is so important. we want to keep some breathing room between all the paragraphs of the pastor method. So between each thing, we want to make sure that it breathes. You want to make sure that you have a visual hierarchy, that your subtitles are bold or a different font and bigger. It needs to be easy for the eyes to anchor throughout the text. Okay, now we're getting to the hands-on last little part of the training of the workshop. So I don't know if you have questions before we dive in. I'm going to need your help to build an example with AI, with ChatGPT in this case. Are there any questions?
No.
Okay. Awesome. So I want to also show something that I think you'll find interesting. I'll stop screen share. Okay. Hopefully it'll work because sometimes when I use ChatGPT during Zoom, it slows down a little bit the computer, but we'll see if it's the case or not. I'm gonna close Canva just in case. Okay, what example could I give? Okay, we're gonna use this client. And I'm gonna close this, and I'm gonna share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, amazing. All right. So you know what? Maybe I'll ask you a question to both Elia and Lou Jane. What would you prefer to do? Do you prefer that we build an email together as an example with the pastor method to show you how quickly you can build it in ChatGPT? Or do you prefer that I show you how to create a visually beautiful and aesthetic email coded in ChatGPT in HTML that you can then put in your email builder to create something more aesthetic? And I can show you an example of that if you want.
I think the first example sounds more interesting because the other one is just coding, right? And then it builds it for you.
Exactly. So the next one is like, the next one would actually be like the second phase. Like if you wanted to turn it into something more aesthetic. And I can even show you an example. That's something that I built for Blue Jane. You know this client because I think Elia is gone. Because we did a training for her. Can you see the email?
Yeah. Pranic Magic, yeah.
So I built it with ChatGPT and I coded it with Chat to create something more aesthetic, aligned with her brand. And it says like all the French events, the buttons, and it's like aligned to her brand's aesthetic. But anyhow, I think you're right that it would be interesting to do an example of the pastor into Chat. So let's dive into it. Do you have a scenario that you would like to do? So you can pick a product, you can pick, pick a product, anything that you want, and we'll make the test in live.
Okay. So how about it's like for an ebook, because recently they do really well.
Uh-huh.
On what? I don't know. Or just like an ebook that you're selling.
An ebook that we're selling, okay. And who is your target audience?
It would be women, like young adult women.
And what is the ebook about?
Hmm. Okay, so there's one that I did buy, and we can use this as an example. It was like,
Huh?
let me read what the ebook title was, but it was about like dark femininity.
Okay, very cool. Okay, so the prompt will go as follows. Hi, chat. Can you please help me sell my new ebook about dark feminine energy? My dream client, soulmate client, are women who, what is the desire of that women?
So the book title was Becoming a Femme Fatale, so it can be like that.
Mm-hmm. Who wish to become a femme fatale. Perfect. Amazing. So we have who, we have the what, we
Yeah.
know who she wants to become. And what would you say are her struggles, her pain points, her challenges, the things that, like, what is the gap that she's in right now?
Maybe, well, for like first and foremost, confidence
Mm.
and self-image.
You said confidence, and then the next one was what?
Self-image.
After confidence, what?
Self-image.
Independent? I can't hear you. I'm
Oh
gonna.
no, self-image, like the way she sees
Oh,
herself.
self-image. Okay, amazing. I love that. Uh, oops. She wishes to be more confident and have a better self-image. Amazing. Okay. So now what we're gonna tell chat is please use the pastor method to write the email to my audience. Make sure that it triggers emotions, that it makes her feel that it highlights the gap and the desired transformation. Transformation. Um, and also give me a couple of examples of great headlines that will definitely make them want to open the emails. Highlight what's in it for them. Make it mysterious, intriguing. Use powerful words. Example, must, secret. Okay, we'll start like this,
Okay.
and it'll give us the first draft. All right. Oh, it gave us a lot of subject lines. Okay. You were never meant to be easy to access. Not bad.
Yeah. But it's kind of like too like
It's
it's
true. It's
the one.
yeah. The secret isn't confidence. Become unforgettable. So usually for the headline, I really work on it myself because we have from the book like the framework for the best titles and using the numbers, the powerful words. So it's always fun to see what chat comes up with, and it can give us ideas. Like this one, warning, this may change how you carry yourself forever.
Yeah, this is good
This
actually.
is good. Yeah. So you would want to start off, with something like this perhaps, and then of course improve it on your own and add your whimsy to it.
Yeah.
But then it's gonna be interesting to see what it wrote for the text. So have you ever looked at another woman and wondered, how does she do that? Not because she's the most beautiful, not because she's the loudest, not because she's trying the hardest, but because the moment she walks into a room, people notice. She doesn't beg for attention, she doesn't chase, she doesn't over explain herself. She simply exists, and somehow the entire room shifts. Now, imagine something for a second. What if she wasn't born that way? What if confidence isn't something you're lucky enough to have? What if it's something you've unknowingly been giving away? Every time you apologize for taking up space, every time you lower your standards because you're afraid of being too much, every time you dim your light to make someone else comfortable, every time you seek validation instead of remembering your own value, little by little, you forget who you are. You stop trusting yourself. You become accessible to everyone while feeling deeply disconnected from yourself. But here's the truth that changed everything for me. The women who feel magnetic aren't playing games. They've simply mastered one thing. They never abandon themselves. That is the essence of dark feminine energy. Not manipulation, not toxicity, not becoming cold. It's becoming deeply rooted in your own worth.
So far, it's like really good.
It's really good. And
Yeah.
you see here, it tells you the offer, like what to expect
Oh,
inside.
yeah.
Inside, you'll discover the psychology behind magnetic feminine energy, the habits. So here is like the how, right? It's
Yeah.
like the tangibles. You'll learn psychology, you'll learn habits, you'll learn this and that, and like rituals.
Honestly, I think she used the same exact thing, like the same exact things on here.
That's crazy.
And 'cause there's so many accounts that do the same thing, like seriously, like the femme fatale especially, you will see that on Instagram a lot and TikTok.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm so excited that you brought up that example and that it came out so similar because now like it makes sense. Like when you read people,
Yeah.
like why does this feel so like the flow is just so well built that it brings you through a journey of what
Yeah,
you like Elias said earlier, it's like you already know 2 steps ahead what the person is thinking
so true,
and
so
you're like
true.
writing it down. So yeah, that is it was a long training, almost an hour and a half, but I hope that it helped you like uncover a little bit of the secrets of how people write such powerful emails and how communication is truly at the core of being a good salesman, of being a good saleswoman. That at the end of the day, it's not about selling the best product. Like some people have crappy products to sell and crappy services, but they're very good at selling because they're able to talk in a way like this that makes them
Yeah,
feel seen, makes them feel heard, makes them feel trust, like that they can trust. And that is truly the secret behind opening like emails that people will open and that they will also click in and purchase from.
that's so cool.
Do you have
Thank you.
any questions? Any comments? Yeah.
Yeah, this was like really informative, like especially the book that you sourced. That was like really like it felt like a actual class course, you know? It was really good teaching and like good informations. If you could please send us the slides, that would mean a lot too.
Absolutely. I'll send you the slides and I'll send the links because both of the books that I've quoted and sourced, uh,
Yeah.
I have the physical copy, but they exist online for free as PDFs. So I'll send it to you as well if you want to go through it. I like quoted the parts that I liked that I thought were the most useful. But of course, the whole book is relevant because it talks about more things about sales funnels, about other frameworks for selling digital products and whatnot. So if
Yeah.
it's something that you're interested in, the whole book is available for free online.
I love how like this was a class on email marketing, but it honestly encapsulates like everything that you see everywhere, like all brands and personas that do like exactly this too.
Yeah, well, thank you
But
for
now
your
I can easily notice. Now, like I know what's going on.
feedback. Yeah, well, I would love to expand more on it. Like, if ever there's a topic that you would like to go deeper into, if you have ideas of like something else that you'd love to learn, I want to start doing these workshops every month, like offering free, information like this for business. And it could also be, me, like it could also be not just business, it could be also identity related and personal
Yeah, for
development
sure.
related. But
I
if
was
you
gonna
have,
mention that
yes.
identity related thing because when you in the slides it talked about transformation, and I think that was like such an important like thing. Even in the ChatGPT answer, like the first thing it said is they're not buying an book, they're buying an identity. And
Mhm.
that's like I think that's like so like needed. Like every human is trying to figure out who they are and also how to like be in the shoes of this desired version of themselves. So if you ever want to do courses on that, I think you would have a lot to say, like how to step into this kind of identity.
Well, that's a very good idea. I'm gonna definitely add it to the list. It could be the next one. That could be an exciting one to do.
Yeah, for sure, because you can go from it from any angle, like anything. I love how you said like the things you talk about are like things that you've been through yourself and you need the solution for.
Yes.
Honestly, that really stuck with me. Thank you. Because, like, when you emphasized how important it is to know the client, even like back in CJEP, they were like really talking about that too. But, like, you're in school, you don't like, you're like taking everything in. But now that school is over and you emphasized it, I realized, wow, like, this is the most important, it's the foundation basically of everything
Yeah,
that you're going to do afterwards.
that's so true. Well, you're more than welcome to co-host with me at some point if you want. If you'd like to be on a training and share
Oh,
some of your gold nuggets, I would love that.
thank you so much.
Well, thanks to you. I'm gonna pause the recording here. Where is it? Stop